Hello. I hope you can hear me over the cacophony of cicadas. They're pretty loud. Um, but this is, July in the mountains in Virginia. I know I'm wearing a hoodie and it's like 90 degrees and also 90% humidity, so it feels like 100. But look, either wear protection or get eaten alive. I've already been bit like a dozen times just walking to this point, which is, God, get off of my foot. Sorry, a very large black ant decided that my foot was appealing. Um, don't mind all like the stickers and brambles and stuff. But it's not that far of a walk. And like, I didn't start getting eaten until I got into the wooded area. I prefer the wooded area because it's nice. But I had something somewhat interesting today that I've thought about myself because every I would hope most people would try to self improve. Um, uh, there's clearly some humans out there that don't, but I said that um, well, people tend to think I'm just lying. Like I even my parents would call me a liar, but that's for different reasons. Uh, but people on the internet seem to think I'm lying about a lot of things. Um, and then, and I've examined my own personality and the way that I am and the way I interact and what people say about me because I want to improve. Yeah, I can ignore a lot of negativity and whatever. Like, dude, clearly got your own things. Gosh, Black Ant, you want to be on both of my feet now. Um, and I can ignore what people say about me, especially the real negative stuff. Like, you must have your own things going on because, like, you're being hateful for no reason. But even within, like, workplaces and within relationships, like, you want to improve, you want things to get better. So, like, I self examine. Speaking of, like, washed my hair today, so of course it's trying to be extra floofy. Like, can we not? But yeah, whatever. That's why I have a headband on. And now the ant has just decided to be on my hand. Thanks. No, don't go up my arm. It was not an invitation. Anyway, maybe I taste good or something. Is there like an ant hill around here or something? I don't get it, man. There's not, though. Like, I looked before I sat. There's like moss, but like, okay. Focus. Um, so yeah, every relationship I've ever been in, ant. Stop it. I'll just take my feet off the ground, I guess. Um, every relationship, like, well, not every single one of them, but I haven't had a lot of romantic relationships just because, I don't know, maybe for a number of reasons, right? I'm pretty well ace. Like, I think sex is disgusting. I do not want to exchange body fluids. That's really gross. Um, and I don't get any pleasure out of it anyway. So, like, yeah, I have a child, but like, honestly, I don't know how I got that far. um, uh, yeah, maybe because I was married for 8 years. Um, but I said that like sex isn't the only thing to the relationship, and he countered back with, "Well, yeah, it's a big part." Nah, it was the only part for you, buddy. Sorry. Um, and it was a point of contention within that relationship because like it's nothing against you. I just don't feel like it, like at all. Like I could go the rest of my life without it. Self pleasure is different from like an exchange. So, um, mm. but just about every relationship I've been called cold. At least three of them I've been called an ice queen bitch. Elsa ain't got nothing on me, right? Um, and why is that? Well, why do you call somebody cold? Because they're unemotional. Um, I also have the caveat that I'm overly logical. Like I am honest to a fault, and I've had to tell people that like, look, when I say I love you, I mean it. I can't give you the emotion that I don't have. I'm sorry, but I wouldn't say it. I wouldn't waste my time and energy if I didn't mean it. That is very cold logic. Um, so yeah, I guess I am a little cold, but I'm also the type of person that I appreciate quality time. I must be autistic. I have attention deficit back when that's what it was called in the 80s. And with recent, movements within psychology, they're trying to get attention deficit, hyperactive attention deficit, as it is now called, to be a part of the autism spectrum because they are both learning disabilities. So it does make sense. Um, so yeah, I'm probably autistic. Um, and as a result, I appreciate parallel play. Like I want to be in the room with you. I want to share time and space with you. It that's how I show love. Like by respecting silence and boundaries and just being with you. That's enough for me. Apparently, it's not enough for most people. Um, Another ant. I'm Look. I'll just pick up spiders and put them on plants. Are they gonna bite you? I don't want them touching me, but I'd rather put them on a plant because they'll be happy there instead of running all around my room. Because there are spiders in my room. They like to be in there. So much so that when I left for college, I was on the phone with my brother a week after I had left, and during that phone call, he screamed and dropped the phone. And he said, "You weren't kidding." And I said, "Well, I don't, but about what?" And he goes, "The spiders, the spiders." And I go, "What?" He goes, "About a dozen of them crawled out from under your door, your bedroom, crawled across the hallway into my room, and then fucking disappeared. And I can't find any of them. And it was a whole army of them all at once." I said, "Oh, yeah, no." I kept telling mom and dad to fumigate the house. What was that? Something just hit my hand. I love the woods. I don't necessarily love the amount of bugs that are in it. There are fireflies everywhere right now. It's really pretty, but I doubt you can see any of them. But so, yeah, probably autistic. Probably, right? There's a layer, though. So, what's wrong with my personality? Why don't I get along with a lot of people? Why don't I have any friends? Not for lack of trying. I'm just weird, right? And so, well, no, I'm neurodivergent, absolutely. Um, I deal with major depressive disorder. Um, and I, since May, have been medicated for it. So that's less than 3 months now. And I've been medicated for it in the past, but like, I really don't like being on any extra medication because, and I don't like playing with medicine because, like, I'm sensitive but also resistant to medications, and so I get this weird mix going on where lots of bad things can happen all at the same time. And so like I try to just stay away from as much medication as possible. um like not a lot of antidepressants work for me, like fluoxetine. I think that's, oh, what's the common name for it? It starts with a P. Not Paxil, not Prevacid. I forget. But Wellbutrin's terrible. It has the opposite effect. It makes me manic, and I'm not manic. Um, and it makes me want to self and right this second. Like, I barely remember that week that I was on it, but I knew I had to stop taking it immediately. So I self stopped, and then I told my doctor, and she goes, "Oh no, you made the right call." Yep. Um, Made my heart rate just go crazy and stuff. I mean, it was bad. Um, and I've tried other like mood stabilizers and uh, muscle relaxants and sedatives and neurologics because I do have some physical things going on as well. But because I now have the diagnoses of Ehlers-Danlos, vascular Ehlers-Danlos, now we know why a lot of medications don't work for me, especially like painkillers, because my body doesn't properly digest them. Neat. Connective tissue disorder. And on top of that, like vascular Ehlers-Danlos is super rare. So I'm a unicorn zebra because the mascot for Ehlers-Danlos is a zebra, because one doctor put it very succinctly that, when you get all these symptoms, when you hear hoof beats, you're expecting horses, not zebras. So a lot of people with Ehlers-Danlos get misdiagnosed. Neat. Um, but on top of that, like, my childhood was not great. Here's a somewhat extreme, but an example. My parents were very negligent, both of them. My mother hated me. I mean, I never remember her ever telling me that she loved me or hugging me, but I do remember her punishing me for doing things that I didn't even do, and then on top of that, frequently screaming at me about how much she hated me. And then when I got older, she, pretty much after my diagnosis of attention deficit, she used that as an excuse to go, "Oh, well, then I don't understand her, and I'm never going to because she has a learning disability." So from that moment forward, anytime she and I were having an argument, basically I would be trying to explain something to her of like how I feel or what I'm doing. And I would try to explain it in different ways, but she would just physically turn her back and say, "I just don't understand you," and then walk out of the room, even if what she was doing required that room. Okay. Um, Talk about belittling. Um, and she was never compassionate. She never offered comfort like a mother should. Like when you hurt yourself and they go, "Oh, it's gonna be okay," she'd be like, "Well, this is a bother. You hurt yourself." Like, and like she would just scream at me how much she hates me frequently and blame me for things, and like I had no control over, like, being a girl. Because I was a girl, she had to have another child because she needed a boy. Okay. And like, I died twice under my parents' care. That's beyond negligent. That's not even within like what you have to do required by the law. Um, she was a dental assistant, so she had medical training. And as a 5-year old, I was too hot in the car from the flu shot, and then skipped on dinner because my stomach hurt, and then threw up in my bed, and then was laying under my bed because it was too hot. And then I aspirated and died. And she didn't check on me once. I even skipped breakfast. What 5-year-old skips dinner and breakfast and then isn't up till noon? And you didn't check on me. I remember like everything, I couldn't like scream or breathe, and it started burning in the bile, and then I could taste my own blood, and everything's constricting, and everything goes yellow, red, and then black. And I woke up in the same position that I fell in. Around over 12 hours because she always had dinner at like 6. Well, no, at 5. And then, like, it was like at least 2 hours after that. And then because the sun had set already, and then noon. So, like, that's a long period to not check on your child, your 5-year-old. And as an adult, I asked, well, didn't you check on me? She goes, no, you were fine. I said, how did you know I was fine if you didn't check on me? And she just rolled her eyes. Uh, yeah. And my father's no better. Um, we went to the beach on a day that had 2 red flags. So it was bad weather, undertow, and riptide. Undertow and riptide. So there were no lifeguards because the beach was closed. We went anyway. I drowned. A wave crashed on top of me and smashed me into the sand below. I was on a bodyboard, so I was into the surf a bit. And, yeah, smashed me into the sand, so it just forced all the air out of my chest because I landed on my back because, you turn to try and reach the air and you can't. I'm a pretty strong swimmer. I always have been. But that's because my cousins would hold me down under the water until the bubbles stopped. You learn how to hold your breath. Yeah, I don't know why they would try to drown me every time we went to the beach, but they did. Every summer for 10 years. Well, I mean, no, I would have started going like when I was 4, and we stopped going when I was 10. So, yeah, like 6 years, I guess. But yeah, that being said, I'm a pretty strong swimmer. But when you smash into the sand like that, it just knocks the wind out of you, essentially, which is your air when you're underwater. And then I tumbled and ate some sand and ended up on my back. And there was about like at least 2 feet of water on top of me. And my head is to the shore, my feet are to the water. So now the tide is going back out, and I can't fight it. The water is coming in. I have no air. I can't I can't fight it. And I'm still pinned to the sand because of the undertow. And because of the riptide, I can't get up. I just can't. And I look up through the salt and the brine, and I see the sky and the sun, even a seagull, some sea foam. And I just go, well, I guess I've had a good life. And gone. Um, I don't know how much time passed by, but I woke up yards and yards and yards down the shore, standing, coughing up all this brine. Like I said, there were no lifeguards. Nobody saved me. I don't know how that happened, but like I'm crying at this point. Everything hurts. And I drag myself and my board, which is still attached to my wrist because I don't attach it to my ankle. It's a bodyboard, not a surfboard. But yeah, your tether. And like my board was half buried. They're foam. How does that even happen? But I drag myself back to the beach towel where my parents are. And I can barely hear their radio because like my ears are all plugged up. And I get to them and they're both asleep. That's a loud bug. They're both asleep with 3 children. I was 10, which means my sister was 12 and my brother would have been 6. And that's negligence. Beyond that, there was abuse, like smacked around a lot. And I didn't just get it from my parents, I got it from my extended family because like my cousins all beat up on me too. Like, I remember being rolled down the street in a metal trash can that my cousin had like shoved me in and then like bungeed the lid shut, and like she's beating it with a metal bat. I mean, denting it like right here. Like, talk about claustrophobia, right? And rolling it down the street, kicking it, hitting it, having a good time. And then I hear, oh shit, and everybody gets out of the way. And then a car hits the trash can that I'm in. By the time they were done, the trash can was so like squished in to my ribs and sides that I physically couldn't get out anymore. It had broken a couple of ribs at that point. Um, and that was just a Tuesday, you know. I mean, so yeah, I guess I'm probably a little weird, and I try to be as normal as I can, but and then you have that whole debate of nature versus nurture, right? I mean, both of my siblings have mental issues too. So obviously there's some nature there. Both of my parents are classic narcissists, right? It doesn't affect them unless it directly affects them. And even then, no, it's not a problem. Might be an inconvenience, but then they'll jump from, simple frustration to rage about it. And how could you be so inconvenient? Like, children are to be seen, not heard. Only we were supposed to like come out like wearing business ties and suits, and we're furniture. We're not even children. Like, yeah, it was true back in the 80s. You got kicked out of the house and you drank from the hose. You weren't allowed back in the house until it was dark. Um, if you can get there on your bike, go ahead. But if you can't get there on your bike, it's too far and I ain't taking you. Oh, you split your knee open to the bone? I ain't taking you to the doctor. Yeah, that actually happened. I have a scar from my eyebrow all the way to the back of my crown because I hit the corner of a wall that had metal flashing in it, trying to face my mother because she called my name. I was 5, and it had been ingrained that hard into me. You make eye contact with the person that you're speaking to because it's respect. And if you aren't looking at me, pay attention. Yeah, that was fun to explain. Oh, my lip. It was actually from my nose all the way down. I still have an indent there. Like, I can't get lipstick correct. My sister feels bad about it. She had a C and say, and they have this handle on top and just wham right in the face. I didn't even do anything. I just walked into the room. And then it happened again with a play fire truck. Like, I don't know why everybody hates me. So I just assume everybody hates me. Um, I assume at any minute anybody can hit you. Like, yeah, it's rude, but like, what's going to stop a person? Really? Nothing. Um, so then, like, as things have developed, like, pretty sure both of my siblings have borderline, have, not borderline, bipolar. We all have depression. Um, Probably some post traumatic stress disorder as well. My brother definitely does. Um, I've had so many concussions, I've lost count. Um, and then, like, none of us handle stress very well. We all have issues with anger. I've modeled mine pretty well. Um, but then at one point, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. However, the key formulation of that is impulsivity, and I'm not very impulsive. I'm very calculative. That's why people call me cold. Another aspect to being called cold, anyway. Very calculating, and I can be very manipulative. Um, I'm very patient. And that is not borderline personality disorder. If you look in the DSM 5, man, I can't wait till the 6 comes out. Um, That's more antisocial personality disorder. I have been told by a psychiatrist that I have all of the apathy and none of the empathy. Now, I do have empathy, and I do have to have empathy for the type of work that I'm in, but I wonder how much of that is just an act that I know I'm supposed to have it, because certainly my personality is an act, because I don't have to be nice. I don't. I don't have to be kind. I don't have to follow the rules. Everything is a choice. Everything. But I choose to be a good person because being a bad person doesn't really get me anywhere. Might end you up in jail if you're bad enough. But, no, you can get away with certain things. I just hmm, thought about some really bad things, and I could get away with. If I could get away with it, I would. I don't care that it's bad. I'd care about the consequence to myself. But past that, like if I could get away with it, if I knew I could get away with it, yeah, I'd press that button. However, certain things, I'm pretty, I'm quite certain that once you do them, you can't go back to being a human. So like, I wouldn't press certain buttons. You know what I'm saying? But I talked with a psychologist very recently about like, yeah, I've been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. However, I don't think that that's what I have. I think I more have ASPD. And he said, well, they're really the same. He said, but borderline is more for women, whereas ASPD is more for men, but they're pretty much the same. I said, yeah, except that whole, like, calculating versus impulsive. And I'm not impulsive. He goes, yeah, you're not. I said, so I think I have ASPD. He goes, yeah, I'd lean more toward that too. Oops. That's from somebody with a doctorate, by the way. So, I mean, they didn't write it down, but I've got to get me a new psychologist and like maybe get re-diagnosed. I really am uncertain about doing that because I don't want to end up strapped to a bed. You know what I'm saying? I like picking out what socks I get to wear, even though I'm not wearing any today. You know, which is stupid of me because like it's been raining for like a week straight, and ooh, I should head back in soon. And so like the floor has just like exploded everywhere. Um, but so yeah, why don't people like me? Because I'm cold, nonchalant. I don't fucking care because I don't have to. How does that serve me exactly? And I think emotions are very messy. And I don't have a lot left. Like the only real emotions I have anymore are sadness slash loneliness and anger. And I'm working at killing anger too, because that one doesn't help me at all. Sadness doesn't help me, but that one's pretty overwhelming, so it's going to take a lot to get over that one. Working on it. Eventually, I'll kill all of my emotions, and then nobody will like me. uh, but that's probably why I feel so alien, because nobody likes me anyway. And if I try to put more emotion into things, I look so creepy because it's not genuine. Like, you can't fake genuine emotion very well, so that's why I seem so odd. Like, I'm sorry that it's how I had to survive. I'm sorry I'm weird. What do you want from me? I can't give you what I don't have. And like, who are you to say that I'm cold when you haven't even taken the time to get to know me? Maybe you're the one being cold. You're treating me as some alien. I already feel alien, thank you very much, but you're making it worse. Who's the cold one now? Jerks. I mean, at least I'm trying, doing the best that I can with what very little I have. It's so unfair. And I'd like to fix it. I'd like to be normal. I'd like to have friends. I really would. But I'm just a monster, I guess. I mean, we all are in some way, but I'm pretty far on that scale, even though I haven't done anything all that monstrous. I mean, I have done some pretty awful things, but I wouldn't ever go that far as to do anything. There was a weird movement. I wouldn't do anything like that ever again. And I should get going because it's gotten quite dark and I'd like to be able to make it back. Vision will, start to be impaired if it gets much darker. Um, the video quality's gone down as a result. It looks staticky just because it's trying to make things brighter. Um, but that being said, I just kind of wanted to get my own thoughts out a little bit about it. Like, I can't help it. I've tried to fix it. I've tried to be better, and I'll continue, like, to try and improve this porcelain mask, right? But at the same time, like, why can't people be just a little more accepting? I'm not malicious. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. In fact, I'm trying to help others. And in a way, like, my lack of emotional connectivity is a good thing per my line of work because I'm not going to take anything personal, even when people intend it to be personal. And healthcare is really hard, especially when you see people die. I can't. I've held so many people's hands as they're dying. And I didn't make them, I didn't hurt the person. I didn't make them die or anything like that. It's just, working in retirement slash nursing homes, it happens. Um, so nope. I gotta get out of the woods. It's getting dark. Wanna walk with me? Let's go for a midnight stroll in the woods. Don't mind the shovel, it's for protection. Oh, and this tarp? Well, we gotta sit down on something. Oops. Actually, like, I would walk in the woods at night if I was wearing better shoes. It's so pretty. Yeah, like there's bears and bobcats and foxes and wolves and coyotes, and just dogs. There's even a wolverine. Oh, there are mountain lions, but you don't see them very often. They're not as rare as the wolverine, but yeah. And there is like a hole in the gully over here, and I don't know what made that hole. Probably just a woodchuck, but still. It's too quiet. I mean, the bugs aren't quiet, but like the birds are going to bed, and like I haven't heard any deer though. Third time's a charm. See you later.